What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences DFS show here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. It's Tuesday, September 2nd. We got a nice 9-game baseball slate here to talk about, joined as always on Tuesdays by Steve Boynton. Steve, how you doing on this Tuesday afternoon?
Good. It was a fun first big weekend of college football. Watched a lot of that. Especially last night with all the Bill Belichick memes and tweets and everything, watching him just get his ass kicked. JVC gave out to the TCU -3, so it's nice to have a sweat-free bet coming into the work week. But yeah, it was fun. Good weekend of baseball. We've got kind of a different slate than usual on a Tuesday here. Only 9 games and a bit later start than usual. I think the lock is around 7:30 Eastern. So a little more time between the show and when we have to get lineups in, which is nice. And only 9 games instead of 12 to 14. So we can take a little more time on each one.
Absolutely. We'll dive into each of these games. We'll go over pitching, stacks, all that good stuff, weather, some weather issues to talk about as well. And then we will finish up, as usual, with a DraftKings Pick 6. And yeah, good to see people in the chat. Hit the like button if you're watching this show early. We do appreciate that. And a lot to talk about, Steve. So let's jump right in. As you mentioned, we do have a half an hour later lock, so a little more time to get these lineups in. But let's get to the bottom of the slate. We've got the Mariners and the Tampa Bay Rays. This one in Tampa, where, of course, it'll play pretty hitter-friendly, although less so than usual, at least according to our friends over at Ballpark Bell. Will still be a good place to hit, but more kind of middle of the pack with some winds blowing in. I do need to mention, Steve, last time we were felt the need to mention the winds in Tampa. The Yankees hit like 14 home runs. So
that was the Shane Baz start, right, where he was just throwing putters down the dick the entire outing.
Yeah, wasn't great that night. I had an awesome team too, and then the Yankees just ran me down and passed me, but it happens. Back in Tampa tonight, obviously, we've got Brian Wu going here for the Mariners. With all Mariners starters, we obviously prefer to play them when they're at home. Wu, no exception to that, has been better at home than on the road, but he's still been very good away from Seattle. And like we said, maybe not quite as scary of a pitching environment. So Wu, I don't know. On a normal slate, Steve, I think 10.5K kind of feels like a lot for Brian Wu in this park away from home. But I do think on this slate, which I kind of think the pitching's tough for the most part. Yeah. I do think Wu needs to be in play. It'll be Drew Rasmussen going for the Rays. He's kind of a weird pitcher in that it's kind of hard to justify. I think most nights paying for Rasmussen I'd say he doesn't go deep into games. It hasn't really been true. He's gone six innings exactly, 4 starts in a row. Still kind of leaning away from Rasmussen, but there's no doubt he's been a very effective pitcher. Has me shying away a little bit from the Seattle bats. And I think the Tampa bats mostly just in play as contrarian options. I still do think guys like Junior Caminero, pretty good contrarian plays. But yeah, what do you see here, Seattle and Tampa Bay?
Yeah, this park, when winds have been like this and the weather has been like this, has played fairly neutral overall. Was surprised when I opened it up and saw that this total here is 7.5. Probably the lowest total we've seen in this park all season. I would have to say this is the lowest total on the slate, tied with the Yankees Astros game, obviously that we'll get to later. I think both arms are in play. I agree on Wu, probably at the very high end of his price point, but man, he's just been so solid. Has 1 start where he hasn't completed 6 innings all season. It was last time out in a tough matchup. Obviously, he had to face the Padres, who not very many pitchers are able to go deep against that lineup anyways. So yeah, I do like Wu here. He's been pretty much the most consistent pitcher in the league all season. So, it's not a clean matchup. I actually think that he comes in lower owned than the projection. I see about 20 to 25 here on Saber is what we have. I think that's probably a bit high given the slate and given everyone going to the Giants bats. So I think he's a solid play. I'll have him in the pool. Not my favorite play of the slate. And then Rasmussen, they kind of pulled him back in the middle of the season, but they're letting him go 85-ish pitches of late. He's completed 6 innings of 4 straight starts just because he's so damn efficient, right? Like he doesn't walk anyone, doesn't really give up many base runners in general. He's got over 16 points in 6 straight starts, a 1.53 ERA since August 1st. The sportsbooks like both pitchers here. I think it's a fair price tag for Rasmussen. I think that he's got to be in the pool at 8K, given the game environment and just how good he's been. So I'm on both pitchers here. Not my favorite arms of the slate, but definitely have interest in both guys. And I probably will be off bats here, just because, like on the Seattle side, we're not getting any discount really, and Rasmussen just doesn't give up base runners. And like if Wu doesn't get there, I don't think it's because he gets shelled by the Rays. I think it's just because he's 10-5 and probably puts up 18 or something like that. So I don't have any interest in the bats here. My only trepidation is like I was going to bring that up as well. The last time we were on a show with this exact same weather with a low total, it just nuked. But obviously, I don't think that's correlated to this. So it'll be the arms and not the bats here for me.
Yeah, I'm with you for the most part. I do think the Rays' power is pretty good for contrarian plays. I assume those guys will be super low owned, and I don't know if you came to the same conclusion, but like especially at outfield, a lot of the most expensive bats aren't in the best spots, right? I mean, 3 of the 5 are Yankees. I don't really want to pay the 5-6K prices against Framber, and just other good expensive players on the wrong side of their split, stuff like that. So it does have me looking to be a little bit more contrarian maybe at some of these spend up options. I do think it's Camporeale who's the best play for the Rays. And Wu, I mean, one of his best attributes is he just doesn't walk anybody ever. But if you're playing a one-off Camporeale for 5,800, you don't really want that anyway, right? You want a pitcher who's going to allow a decent amount of contact. Camporeale obviously has the power to make him pay. So he's one that I'm looking at, but I'm with you overall. Mostly the pitching here, I think 2 decent options, but it sounds like, I know for me it's true, neither of these guys at the very top of the list will force
Pretty interesting, not DFS related, but the Rays just kind of let Ha-Sung Kim walk. I assume that they, talked to him. He's a vet and like he wanted to be picked up by a playoff team. So of course the Braves claim him off of waivers before he can get to any of the playoff rosters.
I feel like the Braves claim everybody off waivers.
Yeah.
Mostly pitching, obviously, but good point there. Let's go to Atlanta and Chicago next. Yet another game, Steve, where we can't get the friendly Wrigley wins that we love that get scoring through the roof. Not too bad tonight in terms of the hitting weather, going to be somewhat neutral at Wrigley Field. 2 lefties here. Joey Wentz going for the Braves, 6,500 for Wentz. He hasn't pitched too badly, but not really on my radar, even at a low $6,500 price tag. And then Shota Imanaga will go for the Cubs. He's been solid, especially recently. Another pitcher who is better at home, and I think more importantly, better when the park plays favorably to pitchers, especially with home runs. Fly ball type of pitcher, throws a lot of fastballs. Imanaga, I looked at him. I do think he's an okay play. But this Braves lineup has come alive kind of in the last month or so. I'm not super excited about Imanaga. Again, a little bit like Wu, kind of in play for me because of the slate. I just don't think there's that many pitching options I'm interested in. So Imanaga, some interest there. I think he has a 6.5K prop, which is pretty nice for him as well. So I think Imanaga needs to be considered out on Wentz personally. And then I don't see a ton of bats I love here, but I do think you could go to some of these righties from the Cubs side of the ball. Nico, Suzuki, Carson Kelly, all these guys, pretty good splits against lefties. So I think they're in play. Your thoughts here, Braves and Cubs?
Yeah, no interest in Wentz here. I just don't think he has the upside at this price point in this matchup. I do think that should is a good play for all the reasons that you said. I mean, when the weather's like this, it's going to be probably low to mid 60s during this game. A bit of wind blowing in. This is when you want to play Shota. He's been excellent at home in these cooler weather games, pretty much the entire season. The Atlanta lineup has got a lot of swing and miss in it, especially against lefties right now. And they're actually dead last in ISO against lefties over the last month. Fairly surprising, but man, I mean, if you look at this lineup, let me pull it up on Sabre. We continue to share Sabre during these shows, trying to show you guys some more behind the scenes stuff. So we do have the Braves lineup. You can kind of see why there's a lot of swing and miss here. Ozuna, Eli White continues to start. Nacho Alvarez, just not majorly quality hitters. So I trust Shota here. We do like his duration too. Like when he's cruising, the Cubs do not like to use their bullpen during Imanaga starts because a lot of the rest of the rotation is kind of mismatched right now. And they've been doing a lot of piggybacking, which burns their bullpen. So when he pitches, if things are going well, they're going to let him fly. So I do like him here at the price. The Braves team totals below 4. So I do like him, although he's not my number one pitcher. I will have a good amount of Shota here. And then, I mean, I guess the story of the whole slate is there just aren't that many great hitting spots. This isn't a great one for the Cubs. I'm actually looking at these ownerships here on Sabre, much higher than I thought, given this game environment here. DC, Horner at 20%, Tucker, Suzuki, Carson Kelly all over 10%. So Cubs are getting some love here. I'm not in love with it. I mean, obviously a decent matchup against Wentz, the lefty here, but I don't love the park. I guess the best thing that you can say right now is that for the first time all season, the Cubs price tags have kind of come down to a playable level, whereas for so long, Tucker was 6,500, PCA was expensive. So we do have cheap bats, which is probably why they're coming through, because everyone wants to play the expensive Giants bats. And the Cubs likely fit pretty well with them. I will say a couple pinch hit risk spots here. Justin Turner will come out of this game the second that Wentz does. Kevin Alcantara in the outfield. Fairly unlikely that we don't see PCA come in for him at some point too. So just be careful with those two spots. But the price tags are good against a pitcher that I think both of us believe has been pitching over his head in the last couple starts.
Yeah, couple more things. Wrigley Field, especially today, winds are kind of crosswind, but blowing out to left field, if anything. This is a better park for right-handed power, especially tonight with the way it's playing. You'd want the righties here against Wentz anyway. And then the Braves bullpen. We'll talk a lot about bullpens on this show, but pretty worn out right now, except for Cal Quantrill, who is on – I don't think he's scheduled to start tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure on that. So if he is, disregard. But he has on full days starters rest. I think if the Cubs do some damage early, he might be in for mop-up duty, which would obviously be a pretty big plus for the Cubs trying to pile on runs late in the game. So Cubs are going on me. Yeah.
I just checked it. It's Bryce Elder tomorrow.
Yeah. Hopefully the winds turn around and blow out to right field then. Bryce Elder. But maybe a little bump to the Cubs there, at least on their upside. I do think it could very well be Quantrill pitching 2, 3, 4 innings out of the bullpen, which would probably go well for the Cubs bat. So they're growing on me a little bit, kind of searching on this slate for spots to go to. I do think the Cubs
agreed.
Make some sense.
I would be very careful with Turner. I'm not sure that he's completed a full game when he started yet this season.
There's no reason to play these pinch hit risks today. There's plenty of value and some good cheap pitching too, which we'll get to.
Yep.
Let's get to the next game on the slate. I guess we should mention we will bring back Ticket Tuesday. So we will run a 3-man with somebody from chat. We've already won one, nobody's won, Steve. We're 4-0. We haven't had to give away a ticket yet, but if you've competed at us in the past, leave it open to someone else, and we'll get someone in there for the 3-man. If you beat both of us, we'll hook you up with a flagship ticket for tomorrow. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out in the chat for that. Let's move to Minnesota and the White Sox, though. Two, I'd say mediocre at best right-handers going here. Simeon Woods-Richardson for the Twins, coming in at 7,300, and people really still like playing pitchers against the White Sox, but appears not the case tonight. The field has wisened up a little bit on Woods-Richardson, going to be low owned, as will right-hander Davis Martin going for the White Sox. I know you're at least pretty high on the Twins. I like them too. I also like the White Sox bats here, and I will say both of these bullpens have been worn out recently, and both teams used all their lefties yesterday. I don't think completely safe from pinch hit risk, but safer than usual for some of the left-handed bats in the lineup tonight. Has me pretty enthused about this game, and also looks like some winds blowing out. Should be one of the better hitting environments that we've seen in Target Field on the season. But we do need to watch the weather here. Some rain in the area. I'll pull it up here while you talk about the game, but last time I checked an hour ago or so, didn't look too risky to me. So I'm planning to go to bats in this game. And it is the lefties on both sides that I like the best. Teal and Montgomery for the White Sox. And then this 2 through 5 for the Twins, Larnach, Lee, Wallner, and Clemens, very cheap. And I think some pretty big upside against Davis Martin, who's got some pretty severe splits himself, been hit hard by left-handed bats. Looks like a pretty good spot for some cheap hitters in this game, Steve. What are you doing with White Sox and Twins?
Yeah, like you said, this is the one weather risk game. Currently viewing it as it's going to play fine. I mean, I don't want either pitcher anyways. So, as long as you don't get a postponement here, I think we'll be all right. I want bats on both sides. We've been talking about how unique this slate is, with the Giants team total up near 7, no one else over 5, kind of looking at pivots to the Giants. And I think this is the best spot for it on the entire slate. With the rain in the area, it's going to be humid here. Like you said, there's some wind blowing out. Woods-Richardson has kind of proven time and time again that he's not major league quality starting pitcher. High walk rate, extreme fly ball rate, power issues. And these young White Sox have been really hitting, especially the heart of the order. Like you said, they've ruined a lot of chalk pitching just with people assuming that it's the same team. This is, we've been kind of talking about it for weeks. It started with like the walk rate going up, adding Talkman, adding Benintendi, and then just kind of better at bats from them, I think, is big for these young hitters like Teal, Sosa, and Montgomery. So I like most of this lineup here for the White Sox. Like you said, we're going to talk about the bullpens a lot on this slate. These are 2 of the 6 worst bullpens in baseball over the last month. And like you said, they're taxed. The White Sox, I believe, used 5 different relievers for 20-plus pitches yesterday. So I like there's a ton of potential for late runs in this game. This is my favorite spot so far that we've talked about for bats on both sides. You mentioned the Twins lineup. There's no Keyshaw in there, so there's some pinch hit risk. But I kind of want to stick with the top 5 here: DC, Buxton, Larnach, Lee, Wallner, Clemens. Don't really want to screw with the bottom of the order. Definitely not Gasper and Fitzgerald, who are probably coming out of this game at some point anyways. So, yeah, it's all bats for me here. I don't mind the game stack. I could see both teams getting after it here. Davis Martin, like you said, major issues with left-handed bats, walks, fly balls, power on both sides are the issue for the starting pitchers. So it's all systems go here. I'm very, very happy that this game is looking better for weather, right? Because this is a spot that I kind of wanted to play all day. So all systems go on the bats. Might even game stack this on my main, honestly.
Yeah, makes sense. I'll be high in this game for bats too, not playing these pitchers. Pulling up the weather here in Minneapolis, and I think we're going to be fine for this game. again, we'll obviously monitor it, and we'll be in Discord if we move off it. But yeah, it looks pretty good for now. And yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think we got our 3-man for the night. Oki here wants a chance, and I don't know if you've seen it, Steve. The Print Factory, yeah, you saw it. Season-long tourney, all main slates and showdowns. Gonna be fun to track that and see who comes out on top. So good practice for that. Oki, Boynton will send you
shoot me a DM on Twitter at Steve Boynton VT, and I will shoot you the link.
All right, we'll see if we can keep it going in the 3-man streets. Both of us very high on the White Sox and Twins bats. Let's go to the next game on the slate. It is the Angels and the Royals. This one in Kauffman Stadium in KC. Looks like, a pretty good place to hit. This park's a weird one. It always grades poorly for home runs, but well for everything else. You've got righty Michael Lorenzen. He's got some decent reverse splits going on. Gives up a lot of power to right-handed bats. Could play well for this Angels team. Obviously has a lot of strikeouts, but Lorenzen doesn't miss a lot of bats and does have some power too. So this Angels team, another one that I'm personally looking at, pretty decent price points for them across the board as well. Really nobody, just Neto up at 4,700. Everybody else cheaper than him. And then rookie Mitch Ferris will make his MLB debut. Has actually been pretty good in the minor leagues. I think in a different strikeout heavier matchup, I would look at Ferris, who's been throwing 90 to 100 pitches, looks like a full-time starter, and the strikeouts have been good for him. So curious to see how he looks. 5,500 for him, I think it's okay. I don't know if I'm going to get there myself. There's a couple cheaper guys I like a little bit better, but a little bit intrigued by Ferris. Lorenzen, I never play a Lorenzen. Probably won't tonight, but man, there's a lot of swing and miss in this Angels lineup. Could see it going either direction. What you end up doing with the Angels and the Royals here?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've used Lorenzen in his career, but decent price point here for what has become the best strikeout matchup in all baseball, even better than facing the Rockies. By far the highest strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. Basically, their entire lineup is north of 25% strikeout rate in this split. The power risk against Lorenzen is the scary part, but the ballpark helps him a little bit here pitching in KC. He has pitched better at home. So I think he's got to be in the pool if you're playing multiple lineups at this price tag. There are games where even if he gives up a bomb or two, I could see him getting 6-7 strikeouts here. So I think he's definitely in the pool. Ferris, I looked at. I just don't think that we need to go that cheap, honestly. I like some cheaper pitchers more than him, like you said. And he is making the jump directly from AA to the major leagues here. He profiles, as a 40 future grade arm. So back end rotation, middle relief type of guy. I just think it's too big of a slate to take it. I just don't see the upside facing a Kansas City team that doesn't strike out at all. You're just kind of praying for 8 to 10 from him here. And I think that guys like Darvish, and we'll talk about Sevy too, have actual upside. So I've gotten off of Ferris, and actually I think the Royals bats are interesting against him too. This is a big jump in level of competition here. A guy who's probably not going to miss any bats, even though he did in the minors. It's just hard to see him having a ton of success against the Royals. And then obviously a poor bullpen behind him. So SaberSim likes the Royals here. It's kind of the same deal with them as it has been all year, right? DC, where we kind of want the top 5 to 6, and we can kind of avoid the back half of the lineup. So, good to see Yaz starting against a lefty. He's been at risk of pinch hit against right-handed bats, but good to see him in there left on left. That means he's probably safe. So really like the top 5. I think you can play Grichuk too if you need him. So cheap price tags for these guys who have been really good all season. Michael Garcia might be having like the best underrated season of any hitter in baseball. He's just been awesome. So I like the Royals more as a full stack. Yeah. And then the Angels power hunting like you said, against Lorenzen. His big issue is giving up the long ball. Neto, Moncada, Trout, Joe Adell here, the top four, all in great spots. Back half of this lineup today, DC looks even weaker than usual for the Angels, which makes me like Lorenzen a little bit more. They got Lugo, Oswald Peraza, and Bryce Teodosio as the 7, 8, 9 hitters. So slight bump to Lorenzen. So I guess, just as a recap, I like some Lorenzen here. I really like the KC 5-mans, and I like power hunting one-offs mostly with the Angels top four of the order.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wish Lorenzen was a little bit cheaper. He'd be more appealing, but given how many strikeouts, like you said, I do think he's got to be in play. And yeah, that top 5 or 6 for the Royals all looks good to me. Pinch at risk for Grichuk, but I think less so with Yastrzemski actually in the actual lineup. So pretty good spot for the Royals and good power spot for the Angels. We'll certainly mix them in. Might play a share of Lorenzen as well. All right, we'll move to the next game. We go to St. Louis Busch Stadium, which will play, as usual, pretty pitcher-friendly, nothing crazy tonight. We've got Miles Michaelis going back out there for the Cardinals. Obviously, someone we like to pick on. Can certainly give up the home run ball at times. So yeah, these A's bats certainly have the power to take advantage of that, despite not the perfect stadium to hit in. But yeah, Kurt's back in the lineup. Wilson's been on fire. We know what Rooker, Soderstrom, Langoliers, Butler. Even the bottom of the lineup doesn't look too bad. Zach Giloff's got some power. So yeah, I think the A's are a good way to go. It's kind of frustrating a lot of times stacking against Michaelis because you really need the home run balls, but this does seem like a spot where they could pop up. So yeah, I do like the A's. And again, there's just not that many places to spend. I do think the A's power bats is a viable one. On the other side, it'll be Luis Severino going for the A's. Hasn't pitched since August 5th. So almost a full month off for Severino. Also didn't make an official rehab start, did like a simulated game. So I don't know if you ended up finding the pitch count for that, but we don't really know with Severino. I did notice his strikeout prop sitting around 3.5, which obviously is not ideal. But he does get an awesome matchup here. I know you've been picking on the Cardinals a lot. They've been an awful offense over the last month, especially. And frankly, this lineup doesn't look any better than usual. So Severino at 6,200. I think you gotta consider him. I do like him better than the other cheap pitchers that we talked about so far, including Mitch Ferris. So yeah, kind of a little bit reluctantly, frankly, in on Severino, but I do think he's a good point per dollar option. I know Sabres got him rated that way as well, but concerns about the pitch count for sure with Severino. Your thoughts here, Steve? A's and Cardinals.
Yeah, I'll start with Sevy. Like you said, he comes back from the IL. Missed some time with an oblique issue, so at least it wasn't an arm. This Cardinals team has just completely imploded offensively. I know we both talked about it on every show that we've been on together. Their lineup has basically been the Rockies for over a month now. Second highest strikeout rate in baseball against right-handed pitching, dead last in ISO, 28th in weighted runs created plus. We saw the young kid for the A's just mow them down yesterday. It's basically every single start. We saw Mitch Keller put up 30 against him last week in the big $1 million contest. These league average arms are having a ton of success in this matchup against the Cardinals. If the props were like certain that Sevy was at full go, I think he would be by far the best play on the slate. Like you said, he's only pitched a simulated game since coming back. The sports books are kind of afraid here, like you said, with the K prop sitting at 3.5. I kind of like the over on that, even if he pitches like 4 innings. Yeah. I took the over on that 3.5 K prop earlier today. Nobody's offering an outs prop. It kind of reminds me of the spot last week with that young Pirate starter where And it's kind of a thing in general where people are not going to play pitchers that don't have easy props to help projections, right? We saw it with his name is escaping me right now, but the young Pirates arm who, people weren't sure how deep that he was going to go. I kind of like taking risks on spots like this. If it wasn't a great matchup, I wouldn't be on it. But man, it is such a good spot for him. He's so cheap. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes back and throws 80 plus pitches here. He's only thrown less than 90 pitches twice in 24 starts. He's a vet. It wasn't an arm injury.
I think the most likely thing is Severino pretty much has his full workload. I mean, if he's not ready to go, I don't know why they'd roll him out there for 3 or 4 innings, but who knows, right?
Yeah. And also, we'll talk about Darvish later, also in a great spot. He's probably going to be 35, 40% owned. And it's not like he has any duration upside either. So I kind of think that they each go like 5 innings here. And I think Sevy's got just a better matchup. And you're getting him way, way lower owned. So this is going to be one of my stands here. It's a risky spot, but he was really good before the injury too. He had started to turn things around. He's been really good outside of Sacramento pretty much the entire season. So I think, he can have some early easy innings here, give us 5 innings and 15 DK at 6K as a pivot to Darvish. So I really like him, especially for tournaments. He will be one of my big stands today, just kind of leaning into people unwilling to go away from projections and props, because that's a lot of who's playing MLB DFS right now. They just plug the pitcher projections and go. And I think both of us have had a decent amount of success in spots that we have conviction on kind of going away from that. So that's kind of where I'm at here with Sevy. I know that was long, but that's just kind of where I'm at. And then, have to love the A's power bats here. Really like the price tags have come down across the board outside of Kurtz and Langoliers. Kurtz is back, which is nice. And the ownerships here are just too low on a slate where, we're just looking for anything outside of the Giants. We mentioned the Twins game. We mentioned the KC game. I think this is just an obvious upside spot for the A's against Michaelis, who has given up just a ton of power lately. So, I think the A's are among the best non-Giant stacks on the slates. You don't really have to go to guys like Bladega pinch hit risk. Hernandez has been fine. He's eligible at 2 spots. So really like the A's, and I think that they actually correlate pretty well with Sevy. If they mash Michaelis early, they get him through 5 innings and he gets the win bonus too.
Yeah, those 4 win points on DraftKings do even more, right? When the pitcher is cheap, like Severino is at 6,200. And creative player Jimmy Crook's not going to be enough to get us off of the Severino train. I'm with you. I will have a fair bit of Severino myself. Let's go to Houston next for the Yankees and the Astros. We've got Framber Valdez throwing for the Astros. Has had a couple bumps in the road recently, but I think this is pretty much normal Framber. And a risky spot. It's always risky against the Yankees, right? They just have so much power up and down the lineup. But this isn't a bad place to pitch at all in Houston. And actually, Valdez has been lights out all year long when pitching at home. And there are still plenty of strikeouts in this Yankees lineup. I'll also say Valdez, one of the preeminent ground ball artists in Major League Baseball, which obviously helps trying to keep the ball in the yard against this Yankees lineup. So I'm in on Valdez. He is my favorite spend up at pitcher. I do have him above Brian Wu. And then fellow lefty Max Fried will go for the Yankees. I think he's okay here. I do have him definitely behind Valdez. Not as many strikeouts in the Astros lineup as the Yankees, and Fried, not a great strikeout guy anyway. So that has me shying away from him a little bit at 9,800, but definitely in on Valdez. And pretty much out on the hitting in this game altogether. Your thoughts here, Steve? Yankees and Astros.
Yeah, just real quick, our guy VIP found a quote from A's manager. Looks like they're expecting 70 to 80 pitches for Sevy, which is almost exactly what we're going to get from Darvish. So that kind of is in line with what we were thinking. Yeah, interesting game here. Two good teams, two very similar pitchers, right? Ground ball guys, who don't always flash the K upside, but they can in fairly tough matchups here. So the price tags are tough on both guys. I do trust Framber at home a ton. Like you said, his home numbers are just absolutely elite this season. He's got 13 starts at home, 1.7 ERA at home this year, 90 Ks and 84 innings, averaging almost 24 DK at home. So I do trust him. As always with Framber, it's less about who he's facing and more about his own stuff. So I don't actually worry too much about matchups with him. I'll play him anytime he's lower owned, and him at only 20-ish%, I think is a solid play here. I've actually kind of swapped throughout the day. I started the day being higher on Fried, but I think I do like Framber now more than Fried just because I think he has more strikeout upside in this spot. So that's where I'm at. I'm not on bats on either side here.
I'm with you. Yeah, really like Valdez tonight. I'll mostly be out on Fried. Let's go to the game everybody's been waiting for, Coors Field, for the Giants and the Rockies. For whatever reason, DraftKings mostly just decided that they were going to give people discounts on this Giants team. We usually see hitters priced all the way up, but not really today. I mean, $4,500 for Chapman, $3,500 for, or rather $4,800 for Ramos. Big T's guy Wilmer Flores in there in the 5 hole at $4,100, and then Willy Adames, struggling most of the season, but been on fire recently. Has a long history of hitting lefties well as in general, or overall. I do think that right-handed power, I mean, of course, for San Francisco, it's got to be in play, but as we know, as we see with the ownership, going to be very high ownership on the Giants. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if it comes in even higher than Sabres got it projected, kind of in that 25 to 30% range for most of these bats. That's some popular chalk for a big slate with 9 games on it. Totally understand why people are going to San Francisco. If you're on it, probably stay on it. I mean, against Freeland, right? If you like your team, maybe try to get contrarian elsewhere. Obviously, no interest in Freeland. And then, Logan Webb, I think, is pretty solid play here. Kind of like Wu, I definitely prefer to play him when he's pitching in San Francisco. But matchup is good enough here for Webb, at least with the strikeout upside against the Rockies, that I do think he's in play. He's my second favorite high-priced pitcher after Framber. Not going to play Rockies bats against Webb, and haven't fully decided, Steve, what I'm going to do with this Giants lineup yet. Probably play it on at least one lineup. Your thoughts on Coors Field, Rockies, and Giants?
Yeah, obviously no interest in Freeland here going up against the 17 total. Webb, awesome spot. Obviously, right-handers against the Rockies is the real money matchup, right? The strikeout rate.
I don't even love playing lefties against them in Coors Field. Like, they got a lot of power. Left-handed pitcher versus right-handed hitters.
Yeah. I do love using the right-handed pitchers though here. Yeah. They've been pretty much the worst. Right-handed pitchers have shut them down all season. 29th weighted runs created plus over the last month, only second to the Cardinals that we just talked about. So Webb has been awesome all season. He's on a roll right now, 2.6 xFIP since August 1st, best on the slate. Great duration upside if things are going well. Dominated Colorado, his only start against him this season. We get a dip on his price tag going into Coors. He's my favorite pitcher on this slate. I think starting with him as SP1 is totally reasonable here at 9K. I expect him to pitch well. I expect him to pitch deep in this game if things are going well. The Giants had to play yesterday too, so they didn't get the Monday day off like you usually get when we're talking about these Tuesday games. So really like Webb here. And then, yeah, the biggest question on the slate is what do we do with the Giants bats? Let me update the ownership here since we just got to this game. We do have the lineup in. Ramos, Devers, Adames, Chapman, Flores, Matos, Lee, Koss, and Bailey. Their usual lineup against a left-handed pitcher. A lot of righties in the bullpen for the Rockies here. I will say pretty much the entire season, the Giants have been pinch hitting the back half of this lineup. Flores, Matos, I'm not sure if he's faced a right-handed pitcher in a couple months. And then obviously Koss and Bailey are pinch hit risks. Bailey because he can't hit, and Koss because they do have a bunch of guys in the middle infield. So the top four are totally safe. I think Lee is probably safe. But, I mean, almost half of this lineup at least has a decent amount of pinch hit risk. So I'll be going away from the Giants in my main here. I just I'm uncomfortable playing this amount of ownership on a lineup that I just don't think is very good. 25th in weighted runs created plus over last month in the split against lefties. Outside of the top four, it's a really, really poor lineup in the split. So, I do get the ownership because of the context of the slate where we don't really have other team totals over 5, but just a decision that I've already made, at least in single entry. I expect Ramos, Adames, Chapman to be 50% owned in like the 121, at least pushing that. So I'll be going elsewhere. I get the plays. I will obviously have Giants in my 20 lineups, but I'll just be going elsewhere for my main.
Yeah, I'll mostly be sticking to those. I mean, the 3 big bats that you mentioned, Ramos, Adames, Chapman, and high ownership. I'll probably be under the field, but I will mix those guys in. Just too good of a spot, I think, to completely avoid them. Obviously, if you're playing one lineup, go for it. But if you're playing multiple lineups, I would want to get at least some exposure to the Giants. Let's get to Texas and Arizona up next. This one in Chase Field in Arizona. It'll be lefty Jake Latz going for Texas. Kind of a bullpen game for them. He did get up to 66 pitches last time out, so maybe 70 to 80 from Latz. I don't think enough to put him in play. Obviously, pretty good matchup against the D-backs, but 7,700 for Latz, too much for me. And then retired doorman Nabil Krismat will start for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't know who did the wiki edit. Steve, maybe you know.
Someone in Discord. It's still there.
Go look up, people watching that aren't aware, that aren't members, go look up Krismat on Wikipedia. It's pretty funny stuff. Hopefully it won't get changed now that we mentioned it here on this very popular baseball show. But no Krismat for me. I do like these Rangers bats. I don't think Krismat's any good. No Latz. Don't love the D-backs either, though, if I'm being honest. Mostly Rangers bats is what I'm looking at in this one. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not on either of these pitchers. I just don't expect them to go very deep in the game, and pretty tough matchups for both of them. I'm on the bats here, just like you. Krismat is going to struggle with lefties. We don't have the Rangers lineup yet, but the projected one is up here on SaberSim. I'll start with the lefties with Smith, Peterson, Rowdy, Tellez. But I think if you play the Rangers, you've got to have Wyatt Langford in there right now. Man, he's been so good over the last month and a half, kind of carrying them to stay in this postseason race. They're only a game and a half back or a game back of that wild card spot. Comeback, walk-off, or not walk-off, but a comeback win last night in Arizona. So Saber likes them. They're really cheap. I think that they fit well. If you're playing Giants, I think the positional guys for Texas fit pretty well here with the Giants. So I like Texas, but I also like Arizona. We talked about in that White Sox Twins game how poor the bullpens are there. The D-backs bullpen has been really bad, since the trade deadline. The Texas bullpen obviously struggling as well. So, I like both sides here. Arizona against the lefty has got cheap right-handers that you can play. Blaze Alexander has been better of late. Locklear has a ton of power at first for cheap. Jordan Lawler, their top prospect, is there in the lineup for 2,100. I think Arizona fits really well if you want to spend a pitcher. You use Arizona secondary stack with these cheap right-handed bats. Obviously, if you're full stacking, you want to get Ketel Marte in there. Gabe Moreno hits lefties very, very well too. So I like both sides for the bats here. Just kind of attacking the really poor bullpens on this slate.
Yeah, makes sense with some of those D-backs bats. Might have to reconsider that a little bit. And yeah, those Texas lefties. Unfortunately, no Corey Seager, but the guys that are in there do look good. Adolis Garcia come alive a little bit too, along with Langford. So that top five for Texas, do you think makes quite a bit of sense tonight? One more game to talk about. We'll go back over the slate, go through pick six after that. Good time to remind everybody, hit the like button if you're watching this show. And we got football in 2 days, Steve. So couldn't be more excited for that. Obviously, we've got everything people need to have a strong NFL and other sports season over at Run Pure Sports. I believe promo code RPS15 still works. And been told Big T's got some codes to give out. So he said it, not me. Go ahead and DM Big T if you need a code for Run Pure Sports. Just don't shoot the messenger if he doesn't get back to you. Other than that, we'll move on to Baltimore and San Diego, last game of the slate here. Tyler Wells making his first start in a long, long time for the Orioles, 7,200. Low strikeout matchup against the Padres. Don't know quite how far he'll go in this game. I think that's enough to take him out of consideration for me. And then I think the pitcher that will be the most popular on the slate is Yu Darvish here, going for the Padres, projected around 30 to 35% ownership. I honestly think that number could be higher, especially in higher stake stuff. No question, he's a good point per dollar player. 6,700 for Darvish, who's pitched a little bit better recently, kind of alternating good and bad starts. Duration concerns for him, though. Went just 69 pitches last time out. And obviously, Padres, they're trying to win every game they can right now. You could see a quick hook for Darvish here for sure. And I don't want to say I don't like him, but I don't like the ownership number on Darvish is my problem more often than not, he's turning in starts that aren't going to get you anywhere close to the winner, and he's going to be super popular. So I do like to move off of chalk pitchers in spots like this, but it is certainly a good winnable spot for Darvish. Good place to pitch, of course, in San Diego. So I will play some Darvish, leaning probably one or two of my 5 DraftKings lineups tonight with Darvish. I'll play some Orioles bats against him too, though. Holiday, no lineup yet, but assuming it's as expected, Holiday, Jeremiah Jackson has been swinging a good bat. We know what Gunnar can do. Depending on the rest of this lineup, Samuel Basallo, been really impressed watching him. The results haven't quite come with him, but the underlying metrics look awesome for him. He'll be, I assume,
his bats look good too.
Yeah, he's going to be a good hitter. I assume he'll be lower owned at 4K. Get the leverage against Darvish. Got some interest here in the Orioles stacks. Padres, I don't really anticipate playing them much, but crazier things have happened than a pitcher returning off long injury, struggling. So I think you could make the case for him. I'll probably look elsewhere. What are you doing, Steve, with Orioles and Padres?
Yeah, just updating Saber now. Darvish coming in at 38% owned. I expect it to be higher than that in single entry here. Good projection. I think the projection's too high, honestly. The O's gave Cease fits last night. They do have strikeouts in this lineup, but the young kids have been playing well. Beavers has been playing well too, in addition to those guys that you mentioned. Yu has been much better at home in this park. It makes sense with the way that he's pitched. He hasn't pitched that much this year. Only 10 starts, only 4 at home, 2.95 ERA at home so far. But like you said, in his 10 starts, he's only been over 80 pitches 3 times. The Padres have arguably the best bullpen in baseball. Like you said, they're trying to win games. If this game is close, I could see him coming out. Mm-hmm. If he gets into any trouble, after the third inning, or the fourth inning maybe. I mean, he's pitched 4 innings in 3 of his 5 starts since returning, since August started. So, yeah, I think he's a solid play, but this is the reason why I think Sevy is just such an amazing play. I think that he beats Darvish more times than not here, and you're getting such a steep ownership discount on Sevy. I think their projections should be basically the same. I think their duration is almost exactly the same, definitely pitch count wise, and Sevy just has a better matchup. So I'm going Sevy over Darvish, probably in my main, honestly, but I will have some Darvish. It's an uncomfortable click at that price point. I like Rasmussen for 1,300 more, and I like Sevy below him. I did write up some of the Padres here in the playbook. Wells hasn't pitched since April of 24.
Yeah.
UCL tear. He had a couple of minor league outings, but I don't know. The bullpen's pretty bad behind him if things aren't going well. The price tags have come down. The Padres, we don't have their lineup yet. Tatis is day-to-day, so we'll see if he's in there. But if he's in there, I do like the top 6 here of the Padres. I think that they're better plays because of the context of the slate where we don't have a bunch of teams with, team totals over 5.
Yep.
Their team total at 4.8 is right there with the Royals, the Cubs. It's higher than the A's. So you're not giving up as much as you usually are playing them here. So I'm going to stick to the top 6, but I do have some interest in the Padres.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Let's get to, that's all 9 games. We'll go back over the slate. We'll do a quick pick 6. Then we'll prepare Coors, our own teams, all that stuff over in the Run Pure Sports Discord. Favorite pitchers on this slate, Steve? Where are you going to end up? It sounds like Severino locked in for you. Where else are you looking at starting pitcher?
Yeah, I've got my current pool up right here. I think my combo is going to be Sevy and Logan Webb. I'll have some of the guys above Webb, but I'm not in love with the matchup or the price tags for any of them. So I'm just going to have some. I mean, like we've kind of said the entire show, it's a really, really tough pitching slate overall, which is kind of why I want to lean into taking a chance with a cheap Sevy.
I like Sevy too. We'll certainly have him mixed in my lineups. And I do like spending down for pitching when I can, but this looks like a slate to me where I'll be going with the double ace pairing on a decent amount of my lineups. Framber Valdez, Logan Webb. Yeah. I think a pretty good way to go. Feel pretty good about both those guys and more strikeout upside for each of them than they typically have given the matchup. Obviously, Yankees are dangerous and Coors Field is always dangerous, but I still feel good about Logan Webb and Framber Valdez tonight. Steve, what are you looking at for stacks? Give me your top 3 stacks tonight.
Yeah, so leaving the Giants out of this, we talked earlier about the game stack in Minnesota. We should probably take a peek at that weather one more time, but if the weather's good for bats, really like both sides of that game, the White Sox and the Twins. We talked about which bats there. I think the Royals are good plays against the rookie jumping from AA to the major leagues, pitching on the road. And I really like the A's here, specifically the power bats against Michaelis.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the weather in Minnesota. And same thing for me. Not a lot on the radar heading toward Minneapolis. Obviously, hour and a half, whatever, before lock. So it could change. But I do think this game's going to play, and I'm with you. I like both sides of the Twins and White Sox. Slightly into the Twins lefties as my very favorite plays in the game, but I'm in on the White Sox as well. Who'd you mention as your third team, Steve?
A's.
A's. Yeah. Okay, yeah, they make sense. I like them. Cubs are growing on me. These right-handed bats throughout the lineup against Joey Wentz makes sense, and I'll throw in the Royals as well against the rookie Mitch Ferris thrown from the left side. Most of these pitchers that come up, they struggle, right? Early we see exceptions, of course, guys like McLean for the Mets, but for the most part, these guys struggle to make the jump, especially from AA for Mitch Ferris. So I think the Royals make some sense tonight. let's jump over to pick 6. I'll steal this screen share away from you. There we go. What do we want to look at first, Steve? Should we double down on the Severino love?
Sevy Ks.
Sevy Ks. All right. What do they got? 4.5. Ooh, 1.9x for over 4.5 seems pretty nice for
That's
Sevy.
tasty. It's tasty.
Yeah, we'll add Severino as our first pick. Where do you want to go next?
Let's see if there's like a web outs prop that we can look at. Ooh,
18 here. 18.5. It's kind of steep.
It's pretty steep. I think that's too high. Even though I do like it.
It's a lot of outs to get in Coors Field. Let's look at some Twins hitters.
How about Darvish under 15.5 outs?
Yeah, we'll anger the people going against Darvish. I like it.
You'll
double down, lose in DFS and on the under 15.5 outs for Darvish. I like that, given how quick of a hook he's had. I got to pull up these Twins and White Sox hitters. We're both in on these guys. You have bats in particular looking at here. I mean, I got to add my guy Montgomery in there to hit a home run. Just home run machine.
If you don't want to do the home run, the hits, runs, RBIs is 1.5. That's good too.
You like that better? We can do that instead.
For Colson.
Yeah, we'll do that. Hits, runs, RBIs. We already got our 1.9x from Luis Severino. So we'll add in Montgomery over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Who's your favorite Twin?
Looking at that right now, they don't really have much on the. Oh no, I was only looking at the hits, runs, RBIs. We could tempt fate and say that our guy Brooks Lee is due for a hit. 1+ hits is on there.
Fine.
God,
not happy about it, but I'll add him in anyway. Over 1 hit, 0.6x for
over half a hit for the 3-hole hitter. In a lineup that we like. Surely that'll come through.
You'll get an angry text from me when Brooks Lee puts up another 0. What else, Steve? What about any other pitchers we both really like here?
I was looking at the Ferris props to see what they offered there. Let's see, Ferris.
Pull up Ferris. I kind of like 3.5 strikeouts, given that we think he's going to, be allowed to work deep in the game if it's going well. Or did you want to bet against him?
I wanted to bet like under. We go over hits for him.
Yeah, I like that too. Royals, good contact team.
Yeah.
And low walk rates overall. So let's go. I like that call. Let's go with the over 4.5 for Ferris. All right, we need one more play.
I wanted to see if they were laying an outs prop on Woo after his one start where he didn't go 6 innings. Woo, they do not have a they don't have an outs prop for Woo. That's frustrating.
What about the 4.5 Ks?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we'll take the little discount on the multiplier there.
Yep.
Go with Woo, 4.5 strikeouts. Ferris over 4.5 hits. Mr. Bruce Lee needs to get us a hit today. Montgomery over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Darvish under on the 15.5 outs, and then Severino 1.9x to get 5+ strikeouts. All right, Steve, that'll do it for this Tuesday edition of the show. Me and Stats will be back on Wednesday, and then I think Thursday we're off now. It's football season, and then me and you will be back on Friday. We'll keep it going all baseball season. Hopefully, a lot more winners to come. But until tomorrow, that'll do it for today. He's Steve Boyd, and I'm Draft Cheat. We're out of here.